You know what, Jdog, it's funny that we get into that discussion here because there have been a lot of bad games in 2018 so far. But you know what? I think we've had some good games, too.
We have.
What's up, Plebheads? I'm Neo, and I'm joined here tonight by my brother,
Jdog.
It's time for our discussion for both of our top 3 best games of 2018 so far. Now, Jdog, great games, bad games. I feel like it's a really polarizing subject. Because I feel like no matter what we say, someone, somewhere, is going to be clacking on their keyboard to tell us how wrong we are.
Well, that's the truth now. You know, I looked at Game Informer. There was an issue a few months ago. They had top 300 games of all time.
Cool.
I don't even think Sonic the Hedgehog was in there.
I bet you a lot of the games in there were, you know, maybe some of them were older games, but I bet you there was a lot of games in there that are still available. So you could go to GameStop and buy them.
Oh, maybe.
See, when you figure out what's really going on, you become a lot smarter to all the BS.
Ah.
Now, Jdog, let's talk top 3 for each of us. Best games, 2018 so far. Now, we're going through June, right?
Through June, yep.
Sure. So why don't you take it away with your number 3?
All right, number 3 for me, Monster Hunter World.
Really?
Yep. Really love this game. Got about 75 hours in it. HR 51?
51 and 52 last time I saw it.
Yeah, done just about all the quests, all the relevant quests I can do. I still love getting back into it, getting in with a group of people, go and take on monsters. We've got Behemoth coming up, so they're continuing to add content. I would say, I wish there was a few more monsters. I guess that'd be my one gripe with it.
I'll echo you on that.
That I wish there was a few more monsters, a little more variety. I mean, once you kind of beat up on these guys, you know, you're kind of hoping for a little more. You don't quite have the G rank to really get you kicked into that high gear. You've got a few of the tempered monsters, a few of the arc-tempered monsters, but that being said, though, overall, it's a great game. I'm glad it's on PS4. I'm going to be coming to PC here in a bit.
Xbox One as well.
And I think my best part about it, and the thing that's the best part of this game for me, is just being able to play with so many of our subscribers, so many of the people we've met through the game. Probably really is going to have it as an all-time great for me because it's created a lot of memories. And that's always something that's important to me in gaming. I want those moments that I remember, that I talk about to my friends, that we discuss on the channel.
That we tweet to Capcom.
And we've had a lot of them, you know?
Yeah.
And so Monster Hunter World for me was an awesome release this year. I've loved playing it. I still love playing it. And it absolutely deserves a spot in our top 3.
Yeah, I think
so far.
I think for Monster Hunter World, you know, for how much we both played it, I do. I really do. I think it would be a slap in the face for that game, for the entire franchise, if we didn't include it.
Yep.
So I'm glad to see you have it in there at number 3. My number 3, Dark Souls Remaster.
Nice.
Here's the thing. All the PC stuff aside, I was really happy to see us get this. When I was in bed that morning and you shouted across the house, "There's a Dark Souls Remastered coming!" I was so excited because I knew that would mean 2 things: phenomenal graphical touch-up, which I thought they did a really good job with, and online co-op, much better online co-op. Something that I feel the first one was really lacking when we played it.
It was,
and we played it that first year or so that it was out, year and a half that it was out. So I feel like we missed out on a lot, and we struggled through and beat ourselves up a lot in that fact.
With the summoning.
Yeah, that was really poor for us.
So I think we probably got the, significant upgrades. You look at the 60 frames per second, and you look at
the PS4 graphical upgrades.
Some of those things, and the way the online works.
Yep.
For us, the game is, pretty great.
Yes, and again, we're able to play it with subscribers. I know we play with Daigotsu a lot. And so it was really great to see that come back. Very happy to have basically a game that after 2010 was probably one of the mainstay series for us. I know 1, 2, and Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 were games that we both played through all the way through, played it together.
Yep.
And for better or for worse with the summoning, we muddled through. But I was really happy to see that how good the summoning and the servers were for Dark Souls 1 Remastered. That was fantastic. Why don't we move on to number 2, Jdog?
All right, for me, number 2, best game of the year. And again, this is a game that has existed on PC for a long time, but for me, my first chance at it was this year, and it was released, I believe, in very early 2018 on Xbox, and that's where I played it, and that is Subnautica. And that is, without a doubt, the best horror exploration survival hybrid game that I've ever played, and is a top 10 all-time for me as far as games go.
Now you're making a statement like that about a game that's, first of all, in, what's it called? Xbox...
whatever, preview or something.
Xbox game preview or whatever?
Yep.
And incredibly glitchy.
Yep. The game is so good that I'm actually willing to overlook actually falling through the map almost consistently.
Well,
as we got into the later stages, because the Xbox, for whatever reason, just isn't optimized yet. The gameplay is so compelling. The environment is so unique. The way that it is presented, where you're alone on an alien planet, you're basically trying to figure out what you're doing, and there's almost a perfect mix of exploration, crafting, and discovery, and tension, to create one of the most interesting explorative experiences I've ever played. Wow. The game is so good. Isaiah's on the channel a lot with us, and we would just text back and forth about the game almost constantly. I mean, he was playing it at the same time I was, and we would just talk about the different things we saw and the different things we built, the different discoveries we made. It was one of those really neat games where you actually felt like you were finding things, and every moment could be something really unique. You get down into the Lost River, and you first see some of these skeletons and some of these alien items that are down there. It's just an awesome, awe-inspiring experience.
That's cool.
The game, like I said, is so good, and I have such fond memories of it, and of the actual experience, that I'm actually including it in number 2 on this list, even despite all of its graphical issues.
And I think that's saying something for you, because you and I have been so damn critical of games these past 2 years.
I have.
To see you willing to say, you know what, despite all this stuff, it's still freaking incredible. That says something about the game, and that says something about how you personally feel and have experienced it.
Yeah, it's absolutely great. If you are considering the game and you have the opportunity to play it on PC, I highly recommend that you get it and play it there. It's a $25 game. I mean, I can't think of a better value for the money in almost all of gaming for the actual experience. I highly recommend that you play it on PC if you're able to. For me, I played it on Xbox. That's where I bought it. So I'm kind of waiting and hoping that they continue to make it right.
You've even rage quit a couple times on that game because of the glitching and the breaking.
I did.
So to see that happening, to see you still put it at a number 2 spot above Monster Hunter World is beyond me. It's just unbelievable to me. So I mean, I think
there
that's
is
really
something
impressive.
really unique, at least to me, in games that really push for discovery. Right?
Okay.
I love feeling like I'm finding something new, or seeing something new, or accomplishing something. And that game delivers it in spades, and almost perfectly paced, where you never feel bored.
Good.
So for me, or you ever feel like you're really grinding.
Yeah.
And it allows you to play with heavy survival elements, drinking and eating, things like that.
Yep.
Or not so heavy elements. You can get rid of the drinking and eating, which again helps tremendously to allow you to play as you want.
Brings in maybe 2 different classes of players.
Yep.
The hardcore survivalists, and maybe people that just want to explore and experience the game.
So for me, it's one of the best made games you can buy.
And I would say there's nothing like cutting down a ghost leviathan with your knife.
A harrowing experience, to be sure. An absolutely harrowing experience. Cool. You talk about survival horror. Subnautica in 2018 does survival horror better than just about anything else.
I remember you telling me that the game was actually quite scary.
It is absolutely terrifying.
I think
Something about being in the ocean. I don't know. Maybe it's watching Jaws one too many times. I don't know what it is.
Cool.
But there is something about being 1,000 feet below the surface that is freaking scary.
Yeah.
And having a knife, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So, yes, an absolutely awesome game. If you have the chance to play Subnautica and you're into crafting, survival, explorative type games, it is a must buy.
Well, I don't know if I can say as much or elaborate as much on my number 2 because, you know, anybody that has been watching our channel consistently will know that I've been playing this game pretty much throughout the existence of our channel. Monster Hunter World is my number 2 game of 2018. For a lot of the same reasons you said, but also for the fact that I really found myself kind of finding my niche with this game for like the No Armor Neo runs.
Right.
And I really started to enjoy that, and I started to enjoy challenging myself, you know, going like Great Jagras, Rathalos, Rathian, Anjanath, you know, all these different monsters, no armor, high rank, was a lot of fun. And I just found myself experimenting so much more with this game than I ever did with Monster Hunter games in the past. And not for any specific reason, you know. This is not a hate video in any way. But not for any specific reason, but I found myself wanting to experiment more, wanting to try things more. You know, you have the speedrunners out there, the guys that are going to do 2 minutes, you know, or whatever. But I found myself wanting to say, okay, can I find a way to get so good fighting this monster that he never hits me at all? I mean, that is awesome. Mm-hmm. It was a really cool feeling. And, you know, we did the Tempered Devil, Joe, no armor. We did that fight. That was incredible and amazing and a ton of fun. And I look back on like Kieran and Tempered Kieran and all those different fights, and it brought so much for me. It did, and it brought so much in for me to say, damn, I gotta play this again, you know, like I gotta do this again. And it was a really cool experience. There was so much hype going into Monster Hunter World. And of course, you know, some people will come on and they'll say, well, it didn't live up to the hype. And then some people are going to come on and say, oh, it delivered, totally delivered on every aspect. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. And I can still jump in there, and it doesn't matter if it's melee or ranged. I can pick up a weapon. I can jump in with our group that we play with, and I can run 5-10 quests and not be bored. Do I want to play it for 6 hours straight? Probably not. Probably not. I have 180 hours in. You know, it's more than I play most games these days.
That's right.
In the last 2 years, the only other game I put over 100 hours on was PUBG. So, you know, for a comparison. Mm-hmm. But I love everything that Monster Hunter World brought to the table. The music, the camaraderie, the exciting new monsters, just that more immersive feel, the better environments. I really, really loved that. Yeah. And it's a game that, you know, for I did buy 2 collector's editions, but for my investment, for how much time I'm getting out of it, I do. I really feel like I'm getting my money out of it. I do. And I'm not disappointed one bit in my purchase.
And they continue to release free content updates.
And I love that. We keep getting content. The reason it's my number 2 and not my number 1 on the list, however, is because you and I have discussed at multiple points how we are a little disappointed in the pacing.
Yeah.
Maybe with new content for new monster releases. And, you know, I think we understand that, okay, it can't always be month after month after month after month. You know, I get that. I'm real about it. I understand that. But it was still something that maybe took a few points away from me and kept it from being a perfect 10 out of 10.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I really enjoyed Monster Hunter World. I loved the experience you and I had with it together. I'll never forget that first night we played together. It was just so much fun, and it just hasn't stopped for me.
Yep.
It's been great. Been a great ride. Been fantastic. Monster Hunter World, my number 2 game so far of 2018. There's still time.
Yeah, nice.
There's still time for it to take that number 1 spot. Jdog.
Should we do honorable mentions before we do number 1?
You know what? I think we should. I think we should do 1 honorable mention, and I think we should do 1 game we're looking forward to.
All right.
Is that fair?
Sure.
Cool.
Come on, let me do 2 honorable mentions.
Fine,
I got 2 more
fine. Do 2 honorable mentions, because I don't know if I have one.
Okay.
Because I played a lot more games this year that disappointed me.
Okay.
In fact, you'll know when we do top 3 worst, I'll do more honorable mentions than you.
Deal. For me, 2 honorable mentions this year, 2 games you absolutely should play. Number 1, if you're a Dark Souls fan, Unworthy is very, very good. It's very, very hard. There are some frustrating parts to it, but to be made by one person and to be as good as it is a very high accomplishment. Unworthy is an honorable mention as a game that I have really enjoyed over the first 6 months of the year.
Now, Unworthy, that was the kind of 2D black and white side-scroller, correct?
Side-scrolling, Dark Souls combat, with the kind of, twisting and turning environments that loop back on each other, and you've got that shortcutting going on, bonfire type stuff, a lot of that. Dark Souls mechanics in it. Again, we'll talk a little more in depth about it in a review we're going to do here in a bit, but for $15, it's a very good 2D Dark Souls-like game.
Now you mentioned that it was made by one person. How often do we play those 1 or 2 or 3 people indie studio games and they're just absolutely terrible?
Well, more often than not, and that's why I think I was so impressed with this. I went into it not really certain, what the quality would be, let's be honest. But I was pleasantly surprised. And again, it's not to say it's a perfect game by any stretch, but it does a lot of things right. And when you do beat a boss, or even parts of the game, when you beat them, you feel very accomplished because it is challenging. So if you're looking for a real sense of challenge, Unworthy, check it out.
Great. Well, what about that number 2?
Number 2 for me would be Celeste.
Cool.
This is an excellent top-tier platformer.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, it is about as good as you're going to find in this day and age. Unbelievably challenging.
Yeah.
Unbelievably difficult for people of my skill level.
But it can be done.
But you die about 100 times, and you finally make it, and you feel really freaking awesome.
Do you remember when I played the retro stages? It was like 30 of them in a row,
Yeah.
and I beat them all.
So there's some hidden games within a game. The characters are kind of cute and interesting. They have a really weird dialect when they talk. They sound almost like the characters in Okami. That's what it reminds me of.
Yep, I agree.
But the actual controlling, right? The tightness of the controls is 100%. It's awesome. So if you love those super challenging platformers, maybe think like Super Meat Boy, things like that, this is a game to definitely check out. Celeste is an absolute recommendation from us. Very, very good game.
All right, Jdog. Number 1 game you're looking forward to going forward here.
Oh, going forward? No.
Yep.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to just be through 2018. It can be games that are on our radar. Yep. Number 1 game you're looking forward to.
Number 1 game I'm looking forward to coming out, I think in maybe 2 months, is going to be Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That is probably my number 1 most anticipated game. I have absolutely loved the first 2 Tomb Raider reboots or remakes or whatever the hell you want to call them. Reboots, I'm thinking. They've been awesome. I've enjoyed the hell out of them. And the Shadow of the Tomb Raider looks like it's expanding upon what they did in those first 2 games and making it bigger and bolder and even more incredible. So here's to hopefully lots of awesome tunes, lots of great exploration, and another awesome adventure. So high expectations for that game.
I think last year when I picked Home Sweet Home as my game of the year, I think some people were surprised. So I kind of like to dish out a surprise once in a while, and I think a lot of people are expecting me to say I'm looking forward to the Resident Evil 2 remake, which I am, but right now I don't know if it's my most anticipated game because I know what to expect from that. I'm really excited for you thought I was going to say it. You thought I was going to say Death Stranding. No way. I am really excited for Death's Gambit. This is a game we've been following for a while now.
I didn't think I'd hear you say that.
It's a game I'm really excited for, mainly because I'm really picking up that energy from you, that excitement, and how much you're looking forward to it. First of all, it looks fantastic.
It does.
Second of all, it looks challenging AF, which could be, we worked together on Unworthy a couple times. I would have to beat a boss for you, or you'd have to beat a part, that I couldn't figure out, shit like that. And so I think that could be really interesting. And it just overall, like, the 2D style they're going for, even though it's that style, which, as you know, may not be my preferred style of game, I think it looks fantastic. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to seeing if it delivers because of how long it's been on our radar.
Yeah, forever.
Is this game going to live up to you telling me about it halfway through last year?
Yeah.
So, it's going to have to be pretty good. But
I like it too.
I'm really looking forward to that Gambit. I'm really looking forward to getting in there with you and playing that game. And I'm seeing a ton of elements, some of Souls-like elements. The bosses look incredible. And even some of the basic enemies look like they're going to tear your face off.
We'll have to see how it plays.
I am really excited to get in and take that bad boy for a test drive, and I'm really looking forward to playing that together. Death's Gambit, my number one most anticipated game going forward. I would say probably for the next 6 to 8 months.
Wow, I didn't expect to hear that from you.
Yep, really, really excited to check out Death's Gambit. Jdog, hit us with your number one game of 2018 so far.
Number one game of 2018 is a game that you can check out the entire playthrough on the channel. It is one of the top, I would say, 3 games available for the PS4 right now, and that is the 2018 God of War game for PS4. That is by far one of the best gaming experiences I've ever had. An absolute triumph. An incredible story. Awesome characters, a complete embrace of the Norse mythology, a nice reboot for the God of War series, bringing it to the top tier, top console, right? The new gen console.
Yeah.
Great combination of graphics, exploration, challenging combat, and incredible endgame with some amazing fights. The Valkyrie fights in God of War are some of my favorite ever. They killed me many times, but I finally bested them. A neat rune-based system for power attacks. And one of the things, as I think about it more and more, one of the things I really like about the game is it's manageable. And what I mean by that is you have a pretty large world, right? With many different places to go, but there's a reasonable number of things to find, a reasonable number of realms to explore, and a reasonable number of quests to do. So you can actually feel like you actually do most of the game in maybe 50 hours, right? Yeah. You compare it to a game like, let's say, Assassin's Creed Origins, right? Which is another very good game that I'm enjoying. But the breadth of content in that game, if you want to do all the quests, I mean, what are we talking here? 100 plus hours minimum, I'm thinking. It's just huge. And you don't feel, I always feel like I'm rushing through it. Because it's like, I have to get this done so I can go to the next thing. I have to get it done so I can go to the next thing. God of War has almost a perfect pacing to it. Where each quest has room to breathe, right? And as you experience it, you don't feel rushed to get to another quest or get to another area. And I think that's one of its best qualities. It's a subtle thing, but it's really, really important. I hate feeling in games like, oh, here's a quest, I'll just get it done, I'll rush through it, get on to the next one, rush through it, get done. Oh, and it almost becomes more of a, you're not really doing the quest because you're
just kind of being pushed through it.
You're not doing them because you care about them, or you're not doing them because they're interesting. You're doing them
to get it done,
to get to the next one,
yep,
or to level up. And that's where I feel Assassin's Creed Origins may miss the mark a little bit. God of War feels perfectly balanced. One of the most impressive games I've ever played. I highly recommend it to anyone that has a PS4, and I highly recommend it at any price point. Absolutely 100% worth it. A 100% buy. The best game I've played this year by far.
Interesting.
Neil?
I think my number one slot for the first half of the year is more about possibilities. When I buy a game, a lot of times it's, all right, let's see what this trash is. Let's see what this garbage is going to be. And I find myself going into some games just bored and not really having anything that catches my attention. A lot of times I'll pick up a game, and I'll go back to it. It'll say, developers are very active in building new content and expanding the game. Check back often for updates. Yada yada, bing bong boom. And I'll think, oh yeah, right. I bet they really care about their game. So I'll go in for a round and I'll see nothing has changed, and I'll be like, damn, why did I spend that $20, $25? I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. So many times. But sometimes I find a game where I genuinely am hopeful for future content. This game is not my number one because it's the greatest game on the planet. It's not my number one because it's better than God of War or better than Monster Hunter. It is my number one because it is a game that I still care about the direction of the game moving forward. Monster Hunter, I know, is not going to change. You're going to go in, you're going to fight monsters, you're going to team up, and you're probably going to succeed eventually. Mm-hmm. This is a game that going forward, I see almost limitless possibilities with what they could do. With open exploration, with a single-player storyline, with a multiplayer campaign. These are all possibilities. None of this has been confirmed. With more in-depth multiplayer combat, with maybe a trade system. These are all things that have me excited for the future of a game, Maelstrom. Now, again, I said it once and I'm going to say it again. This is not the number one game because it's the greatest game released in 2018. It is the game released in 2018 that I am still most excited for. I jumped in for a round the other day and I could not believe how different it felt. All of a sudden, we have like a squad-based now. We have a squad-based game, and you jump in and you're paired with 2 or 3 or 4 other people. I forget how many it was, and it's 3 or 4 on 4 on 3, and it was really intense. And you needed to coordinate, you needed to work together, and they have these giant Titan creatures roaming the water randomly. I feel like there's a ton of possibilities. An incredibly high amount of things they could still do with these monsters and these roaming creatures to increase the depth of gameplay and the challenge that they could add with those as well. Now, one thing I want to see with this game that it doesn't have yet, but there's a possibility, single-player campaign. You know me, I don't buy games solely for multiplayer. PUBG is an exception. But you know how rarely I will buy a game just for multiplayer. You know, right. like you see like the Call of Duty games or the Battlefield games. I don't buy those games for multiplayer, even though I know that's why a lot of people do.
Yep.
I want to see a single player campaign with these giant mythical creatures and collecting gold and weapons and like add-ons for your ship and ship parts and all this stuff. And I want to be able to build my own port. Yeah. I mean, it could be so cool. And it's a beautiful game.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, and it runs so freaking well. I've maybe got 10, 15 hours or so in the game. Not a single glitch. And it's an early access.
Yeah.
Not a single glitch. Not a single crash. Not a single break. And it runs so freaking good. And it sounds great. And that ship combat is so much fun. Yes, it can get broken when people abuse things. And what do? They patch it. Now go out and do the same thing you've been doing. I don't think so. And it forces you to think on your feet and learn new strategies. And now I can't abuse the ram. So now I've got to grapple and let my teammates come up. Or now I got to grapple, hit him with a shot, and get the hell out of dodge. I got to use my specials. I love what they're doing with the game. There are so many possibilities. A week ago, I told you, I jumped in for a match, played a squad round, and I was immediately pulled back into the game. It got me thinking about the game again, and it got me thinking about all the possibilities for Maelstrom going forward. Am I going to play it every single day? No. Am I going to jump in for it every other day and do 5, 10 rounds? Probably not going to happen. But you know what? Maelstrom's a game that a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, I pick it back up again and I say, I wonder what's changed. I wonder if it has that single-player campaign yet, because some of those are things that were on their development list.
Sure.
If we get this many players, we're going to do this. This many players, we're going to do this. And I saw a single-player campaign on that list, and I'm thinking, if they get a single-player campaign, this is my next full playthrough on the channel. It looks that good. It plays that well. It sounds that well. And I love the fantasy naval combat done like they do in Maelstrom. You have like the point and click in Age of Empires. You know, we've seen that before.
Right.
There was just something about it that pulled me in, and I mean, oh my god, I loved it. I loved it, and I for an early access game, it's on sale right now for like $15. But for an early access game that I paid $20 for, how many times do I keep a $20 early access game? How many have you seen me return?
Yeah, almost all of them.
It's good enough that I kept it. If I keep a game in early access, you know it's damn good. It's like Dead Cells was last year.
Yeah.
And that's a hell of a comparison to give a game like Maelstrom.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
once
why,
in a while you get a hit, you know?
That's why I picked Maelstrom for my number one so far. 2018 because it's the one game that's really got me excited that I played to say, I got to see where this goes. I got to see what they do next.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the better early access titles we've played.
There are so many possibilities for them to do with just expanding things. I really hope they take it as far as they can. And I hope the dev team succeeds. That's why I didn't take my $20 away from them. I felt like they deserved it.
Wow, that's high praise.
It is high praise, especially from me. Because I'm super critical. But we want to know what you all think. Your top 3 games so far of 2018 down in the comments. Like the video if you enjoyed our breakdown discussion and our top 3 for 2018. And stay tuned because we'll be back with our worst 3 games of 2018. Jdog, any closing thoughts?
This has been a hell of a start to the year.
I think it has.
We've had a lot of good ones. We've had some shit, but we've had a lot of good ones.
Yep. Gotta wade through the shit to get to the gold, though.
Yep, and the second half of the year is looking pretty good, too.
I think so.
So, yeah, this is 2018, even early 2019 is shaping up to be pretty great. So I know my next, we got Chasm coming the 31st. I'm thinking about that one. Not sure yet if I'm going to do it right away just because we have so many games coming down the pike. But I am thinking about it. It looks really good. And then, of course, we got Death's Gambit August 14th, and that really kicks off the fall for us. So, yeah, a lot to look forward to here.
I'm Neo.
I'm Jdog.
Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see each and every one of you right here next time for more content like this.
I'd love to know what you guys think. Hit us up in the comments. Good night, everyone.
GG, ya plebs.